Hello guys, welcome back to a new video. In this one, it is not a prediction video, it is one transfer I believe every Premier League club still needs to make before the end of the window. Obviously, we are only a couple of days away from the season kicking off, so things are coming to a close when it comes to the transfer window. Right now I'm telling you one player for each Premier League club, one position of need for each of them. Starting things off in Bournemouth, and they've already lost a lot of their defense. Now Zabarnyi has officially been announced by Paris Saint-Germain, meaning they've lost Zabarnyi, Huijsen, Kepa and Truffert. They only really have brought in Kerkez, they've lost, Truffert they've brought in. They've only really been linked with Diakité so far at centre back, but they do have Senesi as well and Saint Petrovic in goal. Hence why I've decided to go for an attacker, given the fact that Dango Ouattara has also been linked with a move to Brentford. And I've gone with Leandro Trossard from Arsenal. He's been looking for a possibility of moving away this summer. Clubs like Fenerbahce, Borussia Dortmund have previously been linked. I think give him the opportunity to stay in the Premier League with a competitive team like Bournemouth, a team where he will get a lot of chances and have a lot of fun playing in their attack. I think that could be a great signing for all parties involved, and he wouldn't be too expensive. Moving on to Arsenal themselves, they have really been linked with Eze out of all the players that haven't come in yet. And if we're looking for this wing fielder hybrid, I think they should have a look at Nico Paz from Como. Nico Paz is someone who has come through the Real Madrid Academy, so he's got some pedigree right there. But he's had an incredible season last year for Como. Everything that happened and everything that went right for Como went through him. At only 20 years of age, that's really exciting. He's an Argentinian attacking midfielder mostly, but he does have the physical capabilities for the Premier League. He's very tall, he's very strong, he's deceptively fast. I think Nico Paz would be an absolutely fantastic signing for Arsenal, and I think Real Madrid have a buyback clause next summer, so if Como want to make whatever they want to make from that deal, this is the time to sell. Aston Villa have just signed Evan Guisson, but I think they should add a little bit more into their attack. The defense is still pretty weak, shall we say, but the midfield is alright in my opinion. If you wanted to add another attacker to this system, I would like someone who can both cover for Rodgers as well as cover for Watkins, so this kind of Joao Pedro-esque striker number 10 hybrid. This is why I've decided to go with Charles de Ketelaere from Atalanta. Now, he might cost a pretty penny when it comes to Aston Villa, or when it comes to any club trying to buy him from Atalanta, but this is also a unique opportunity to get him out of Bergamo, as Gasperini has now left, which was a very big part of the reason why their progress was so big over the last few years. So I think that will cause some unsettlement. Think about Lookman already handing in a transfer request. Think about the Leverkusen situation where Ten Hag has come in and pretty much lost his best players overnight. I think the same could happen at Atalanta, and Aston Villa should capitalize on that situation in my opinion, because as I've said before, he does cover in both of those positions as well as having the physical capabilities to play in the Premier League in my opinion. Brentford still really haven't replaced the outgoing Christian Nørgaard, who is a massive loss for them, maybe even a bigger loss than Bryan Mbeumo, because he was the one who made them tick and who made sure their midfield didn't just get ran over. This is why I've gone out and looked for a number 6 who is mostly comfortable with the defensive side of the game, who pops out in his defensive statistics, and that player, in my opinion, should be Morten Fendrup from Genoa. Fendrup is, as I've said, an amazing defender, not necessarily too great on the ball, but I think Brentford's midfield contains people who can do the ball progression for him. Think about Damsgaard, think about Fabio Carvalho. Those players alongside a Morten Fendrup could work very well and could be a greatly functioning midfield. But Brentford really just needs someone in that number 6 who will mop up a lot of the the attacking play coming towards them. Brighton is a really difficult one to choose a player for when it comes to a surprising move or something they need, because one, they have 3 to 4 class players in pretty much every single position, which is astonishing, but I also back Brighton to be smarter than I am, so I think there's not much to be said about their recruitment, but it is sometimes fun to suggest a fun transfer. I've decided to suggest Fermin Lopez for Brighton, because I do believe there is a possibility Fermin Lopez will leave Barcelona this coming summer, especially if more attacking talent is added. I don't see financially how Barcelona add more attacking talent, but even still I think they could do with the 30 million for Fermin Lopez, and Brighton could do with another number 10/winger. I mean, who couldn't with the squad congestion, but I do think someone who has come through La Masia like Fermin Lopez, who has shown a lot of glimpses over the last 2 seasons of genuinely being a really exciting player, give him to a club like Brighton who can develop players and he could turn into a masterstroke of a deal. Burnley, for a promoted club you have lost a lot of good players. Think about Brownhill, think about Ian Riley, Trafford, okay, Esteve is still there, but there's a lot of worry for Burnley fans. If I were them, I would be signing Hayden Hackney from Middlesbrough. He is someone who is now really on the edge of being too good for the Championship, so you want to give him the opportunity to try and test himself at the highest level, but he also is a player you can take down with you back to the Championship if things don't work out. He's a ball progressor from deep, something Burnley haven't really got in the squad right now because they've not replaced Brownhill at all. And I mean, it sounds weird replacing Brownhill, but this is a player who scored 18 goals and provided 6 assists last season, which are absolutely amazing stats for a central midfielder. So Burnley definitely needs someone in there who can progress the ball forward, who can link the attack to the defense, and I think Hayden Hackney could be that guy. Chelsea have unfortunately lost Levi Colwill on a pretty long-term injury, and I don't believe they brought in Jarell Hato as centre-back cover. I think he's supposed to be full-back cover. So they will be in the market for another centre-back, and I think they should have a look at Alexandro Ribeiro from Lille. Basically the new Gabriel. He's 25 years old. He's an amazing passer, left-footed Brazilian centre-back. I think 25 to 30 million should get the deal done, and you gain some experience when it comes to Chelsea because this is still a very young squad, whilst adding a central defender who has the possibility to start long term but won't be demanding a start over a returning Levi Colwill next season if Colwill outshines him. Crystal Palace should be looking to strengthen the back line. Marguehi's situation still isn't any clearer. Will he stay for one more season and leave on a free? Will he leave for Liverpool this summer? Nobody really knows at this point. But I think Palace should be proactively looking for a central defender, especially now they've got the information. They definitely will not be playing any Europa League football next season, being demoted to the Conference League. Listen, without getting into how shameful of a decision that is in a world where Man City and Girona get to play in the same Champions League campaign and Leipzig and Salzburg even get to share a Europa League group, that's absolutely disgraceful. Apparently some of the rules count for some of the clubs and some of them don't. Well, this isn't new information in football, but when we focus on the pitch stuff, which is more fun to talk about, let's be honest, I think Palace should have a look at Gonçalo Inácio from Sporting Lisbon. They have been massively linked with Oussama Diomande from the same club, who is also a central defender, but Inácio is a left-footed centre-back who is also very comfortable playing as the left-sided centre-back in a back three, and I think that could be extremely valuable for a team like Crystal Palace. Everton is a weird one, because Everton are showing great ambition this summer, especially given the fact that they are now bringing in Jack Grealish on loan, which is a very fun signing in my opinion. I'm really looking forward to see how he does. And the fact that they're also still in conversations for another winger like Kubo or Dibling, someone who can play on the right, meaning their attack next season could look like Grealish and Ndiaye, Barry in the Spitz, and that new right winger, which is massively exciting in my opinion if you're an Everton fan. But the fullbacks. Asnu is a good signing, but a signing for the future. I think you need a signing for now as well. And I'm suggesting Zeki Celik from Roma. This is a guy who has been knocking about for a pretty while, but he's still only 26 years old, so it's not that big of a risk to sign him. He is comfortable playing both as a right back and a right wing back, has okay defensive stats, okay passing stats. He won't really rip up any trees, but what he does do is he gives you a starting 11 option for now and someone who can be covered for later. That's massively important for Everton, and he wouldn't cost that much as well, given the fact that they are spending big in other areas. Fulham should have a look at Georgia's and Lyon's striker, Georgis Mikatadze. Now, Mikatadze is one of these players pretty much everybody's going to remember for his European Championship. I think it was last summer. But he is actually a really useful player on club level as well. He scores some goals. I mean, it's not Mbappe levels of output in the League 1, but it's still pretty okay. He's a big, strong lad who has some pace to burn, and I think he could be the long-term Raúl Jiménez replacement. I see a couple of similarities in their game, as well as him being able to offer competition and something different to Rodrigo Muniz. We all know about Lyon's financial situation as well, so maybe for a fee of around about 20 to 25 million pounds, Fulham can get a really interesting deal done here. Leeds are still short some goals in my opinion. They have had Lucas Nmecha, but his injury record over the last few seasons is absolutely appalling, so you can't really trust him to start. Joel Pirot is there, but I mean, who knows if he's Premier League quality, and Bamford is training with the reserves, if I remember correctly. This is why I've decided to suggest Ante Boudibir for Leeds, and maybe on paper this isn't the most exciting signing given his age and his profile, but he is a guarantee of goals at pretty much any level for a cheap amount of money. He's now scored in 2 back-to-back seasons for Osasuna a bucket load of goals. I think he ended up 3rd or 4th in the top scorer sheets last season in the Spanish La Liga, which is a great achievement. The fact that he is near on 30 does mean that he will be a lot cheaper, and let's be honest, especially for that first season back in the Premier League, you just need someone to find the back of the net consistently, and afterwards, if you manage to stay safe from relegation, then you can build on from there. Liverpool, given some things you might see in the background, this might be a surprising shout, but I'm saying just get the Isak deal over the line. I mean, this has now dragged on long enough. David Ornstein just dropped the report today that Isak is adamant he will never play for Newcastle United ever again. And that just means we have to get the money, and we have to get the money now. If Liverpool come to us tomorrow with a £135 million offer, we quite simply have to take it, in my opinion. This whole thing has become toxic, and when I'm saying we, I'm talking about Newcastle, obviously. But this whole situation has become toxic. It has become a bad atmosphere both for the players who will remain at the club and for Alexander leaving the club. It's a horrific situation for the fans, having to wake up and read Ornstein reports about Isak not wanting to play for the club anymore. I'm gonna be completely honest, I find this absolutely disgraceful from the player himself, but this might sound biased, but I do feel this way about every single player who goes on strike, because at what different job in the world can you earn more than £100,000 a week and still have a contract left for about 3 years and then just decide on your own that you won't be turning up to work anymore? That's pretty disgraceful stuff in my opinion, and I don't think a club can benefit from having a player like that around. I'm not saying he wouldn't be a fantastic player for Liverpool. I'm saying for Newcastle the story is over and they have to sell right now. For Liverpool, I mean, it's Alexander Isak. He would be a great signing for them. I just worry about the allocation of funds. If you don't know what I mean by that, please go and watch my Premier League prediction video on the Magpie 24/7 YouTube channel. But without getting into too much detail on that one, Liverpool, just get this signing over the line, stop the saga dragging on. Man City! Now, a certain Man City player who will feature a little later on in this video has been linked with a move away, and they have been linked, or at least credited with interest in the Real Madrid's Rodrigo, which would just mean this window is absolutely insane. Arsenal signing Madueke, Gyökeres, Subimendi, potentially Eze, Liverpool signing Isak, Wirtz, Frimpong, Kerkez, now Manchester City going out and signing Reinders, Rodrigo, Chelsea with all of their business. It's genuinely dazzling, and it's also really worrying if you're any other than those four teams, because the gap is going to widen a lot next season. As for Manchester City, Rodrigo isn't actually the player I suggested for them. It's Van der Son from Monaco. Basically, his stats are great all across the board. He is an out-and-out fullback, which is really hard to find at right back, especially at right back. And City have been known to be looking for a specialist right back. So I think Van der Son would definitely cost less than 40 million, and he would be a long-term, short-term, fantastic signing for Manchester City and a different option to what they've already got. In the previously mentioned Premier League predictions video, I told you that I believe the midfielder Manchester United are looking for doesn't really exist, but that there is an interesting way to go around this by having your central centre-back of your back three move into midfield in possession. And I think that centre-back for Manchester United could be PSV's Ryan Flamengo. This is exactly the kind of signing Manchester United need to be making. Players who wouldn't cost an arm and a leg, so they are low risk. You can sell them on for a minimal profit or a minimal loss, so that's why the zero risk part. But Flamengo is such a comfortable player on the ball. For Holland in the Euro under 21s, he actually played at number 6, given the fact that Holland's number 6 got injured and they didn't bring him to the tournament. If he didn't play there, there were massive holes in that side, and he genuinely fixed those. So this is a versatile player who can pick a team up off of the ground and drag them through a game, which is something Manchester United most likely will be needing next season as well. He's still young, he'll be able to communicate with a lot of the players of this Manchester United squad. I think this could be a great signing for them. Newcastle United, my club. Obviously, I just told you I believe we should now push through our Isak sale to Liverpool, get it done for as much as possible, as soon as possible, and with that money reinvest in a couple of midfielders, Wissa, but most of all, the player I'm suggesting right now, I want Newcastle to replace Isak with Samu Aguihoa from FC Porto. For people who don't know, he was previously known Samu Omoridion, but it is now Samu Aguihoa. And this is a player who was linked with Chelsea, heavily linked with Chelsea last summer for that Gallagher swap deal. But he eventually chose Porto over Chelsea, hence why Chelsea decided to go with Joao Felix. And I mean, given the fact that he's at Al Nassr right now, we know how that went. But Samu has scored, I believe, 27 goals for Porto. He takes 3.2 shots on target every 90 minutes, which is pretty great for a striker. He takes 5.7 touches in the opposition's penalty area, so he's very active, he's a danger, he's a threat, he's really strong, and he's deceptively fast as well, so I believe the Premier League would suit him really well. He's also still very young, Spanish. I would love Newcastle to replace Isak with Samu Aguihoa. Nottingham Forest should, in my opinion, be looking for a defensive midfielder to play alongside Elliot Anderson, who will progress the play forwards, and I believe that midfielder should be Rocco Reitz. Here is an opportunity for a club like Nottingham Forest to find not the top tier talent, but someone who is sputtering just underneath. His underlying stats are absolutely fantastic. He is a great defender from deep, from in the middle of the park, but he's only 23 years old, so given one great season in the Premier League, I am sure Nottingham Forest would be able to sell him to a Manchester City, to a Liverpool, for around and about 60 to 70 million pounds, which is actually what clubs like Nottingham Forest, and to be completely honest, clubs like us, Newcastle United, should be looking to do. Sunderland, let's not waste too much time on this tiny club. No, I'm kidding, I'm sorry. I'm suggesting Japhet Tanganga for Sunderland, and this might sound underwhelming, but this is a player clearly too good for the Championship. Also a player who would be open to a return to the Premier League, but already has some Premier League experience. Still only 27 years old, physical, strong, covers you both in the right back and the centre back positions, two positions of need pretty much for Sunderland, and he's a player who is ready to go down alongside you. I've alluded to it before. Spurs have been linked with a Manchester City player, and that Manchester City player is Savinho, I don't care. I'll just keep on calling him Savio, but the fact that Spurs are linked with him is really exciting if you're a Lily White, because he is an incredibly exciting player to watch. He's magnificent on the ball, his technical level is really high. Given the fact that he is so skillful, he creates a lot of space and a lot of opportunities for his teammates. I think they are going to get him for a pretty cheap price. Although if you do compare it with a lot of the other £50 million wingers, maybe it's not that cheap after all. They have also been linked with hijacking the move for Eze from Arsenal. I think Spurs are doing a lot of interesting stuff, and I think Savio could be an incredible signing for Thomas Frank. West Ham have now finally started making some moves, getting Mats Hermansen over the line, which I believe is a fantastic signing for a club like West Ham, because he is a starting 11 goalkeeper for the next 10 years probably, if he manages to stay fit. But they do have some other areas of need. I decided to go out and replace a player like Lucas Paqueta for them, who isn't the most reliable and has also been linked with a move away from the club this summer. And I think they should have a look at Mateus Fernandes from Southampton. We saw last season he was one of the best players in that Southampton side. They went down and he is still there. If Southampton manage to keep him around, I'm confident they will win the Championship title. But if you're West Ham, surely a £25 million offer should get the deal done. And you're getting an really exciting Portuguese, not necessarily wing fielder, but very much an attacking midfielder. Last club is Wolves, and I think Wolves should look at Benfica's Aktürkoğlu. Now, at first I didn't think this was a realistic shout, because I didn't think he would be available, but Fenerbahce have now been linked with him over the last couple of days. So maybe there is a deal to be done there, and I think Wolves should be all over that one. He's still pretty young, but he's one of those very output-driven wingers. He's not very skillful, he's not very technical, he's really direct, he's really fast, and he knows where the goal is and where his teammates are. And I think that's exactly what Wolves need, because this team is very much lacking superstars, lacking cutting edge, and lacking a lot of creativity. That was the end of the video. Please let me know who your club should still sign before this window slams shut. What did you think of my suggestions? Let me know in the comment section below. Follow me on social media, Ian Serneels on Instagram. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.